Previously on Universal Fighter.
Next stop, intensive care.
Bum, 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 ba-dum, ba-dum. A duck walked up to a lemonade stand and said,
Great fucking start. Hello there.
Okay, that's a bit cringe.
Not gonna lie, I feel a bit like the Bjork stalker with this setup here. Well, anyways, here I am. I'm actually not bald, believe it or not. Contrary to popular belief, I have an amazing hairline. Shaved this 6 years ago, all grew back, all false, all lies. So for the 5 people out there that actually watched my Universal Soldier video, you'll most likely know that it was taken down by copyright, mostly because of the scenes with Universal Soldier The Return, so I wanted to remaster the video. I'm kind of like the game dude if he didn't go on the run, basically. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's one of my least favorite videos ever, for 2 reasons. Number 1, the sound is terrible. It's not nearly as bad as my first video, where it sounded like I was in Osama bin Laden's cave, but it's so quiet that you basically have to turn it to 100% in order to hear it. And at least with the Dirty Work video, I had something to say. Which leads me to point B, or 2, I can't remember what I said earlier. There's nothing to say about these films because they're so shit. Now yes, in the original video I did joke, why was I talking about these films when we all know they're bad? But the real reason I made the video was to talk to you about how good Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning and Universal Soldier Regeneration are, because those are 2 of the best action film sequels of all time. So in order for me to prove that, I had to tell you why those other sequels sucked. And it was a slog to get through. The only interesting things about these movies is Bill Goldberg, a drunken Burt Reynolds, and the shocking revelation that Matt Battaglia is a fucking Emmy Award-winning producer. That's it. So after a few months, I've decided to remaster the pod on Universal Soldier The Return, mostly by putting in music and improving the sound quality. So try and enjoy. Day of Reckoning Regeneration is coming soon. Well, not soon, might be a year, I promise. I promise, please. Please subscribe, guys. Please subscribe to me. Well, it's time for one more movie, and it's Universal Soldier The Return. I would love to say that maybe this film would be better because it has a much bigger budget and was released in cinemas, but you know just as well as me that this film also stinks. So, let's get it over with. Universal Soldier The Return starts off with a shot of a T-posing Michael J. White. Is this what Andrew Tate meant about glitches in the Matrix? The Return immediately cuts to a boat chase. Luke Devereaux and his friend Maggie are being chased by unknown assailants. This is a stupid intro, but it's my stupid. I can actually dig this. Oh hell yeah, women, boobs, being tied to trees.
Get a load of that mountain range, huh?
The Universal Soldiers are about to terminate Luke Devereaux, but then it's revealed that it's actually a training exercise. This is a completely new Universal Soldier program, and the Universal Soldiers are now connected to an AI computer system called Seth. Seth is actually played by the very underrated Michael J. White. One of the Universal Soldiers is called Romeo, and he's played by WWE/WCW wrestler Goldberg. I'll talk more about him later. We're only a few minutes into the beginning of The Return when you realize that this film is lazy. Why is this? Van Damme comes back to reprise his role as Luke from the first movie. Luke Devereaux is no longer a Universal Soldier. He's normal again. He's back to his old self. So you might be asking, how on earth did they bring back someone from the dead, turn him into a soulless killing machine like the Terminator, but then suddenly turn him back into a human being who not only has his own emotions back, but can even develop human relationships and actually have children? I would love to know this answer too. However, The Return decides not to explain this. In fact, Van Damme decides to not even try and replicate his character from the first movie. He just plays himself. Do you know what this means, kids? This means that Luke becoming a normal human being again and not acting like a Universal Soldier is another way of saying that Van Damme did not give a shit about this movie, did not want to try and act, and just wanted an easy paycheck. And probably shagged a few people on the set. And trust me, that bit him in the ass later. The not acting part, by the way, he would regret. Not the shagging part. He would never regret that. There are only really two things in this film that are explained. We are told that Dr. Dylan Cotner, who is played by Xander Berkeley, reversed the process so now Luke is now normal again, and we also know that with the Universal Soldiers, there's an implant put into their heads that controls them, and we will talk about this later. Oh, and spoiler alert, Xander Berkeley does not explain this because his character dies pretty early in this film. Say what you will about Brothers in Arms, at least they try and show Luke becoming a human again. I mean, yeah, it has all the subtlety of Megalopolis.
So go back to the club.
But I'd still take something over, well, nothing. I love Van Damme, but he sleepwalks throughout this entire movie. And again, I hate to be that guy, but this film is absolutely littered with plot holes. It is shown near the beginning of the film that Luke has a lot of post-traumatic stress disorder from the Universal Soldier program. So why is he working with them? Luke is working for the same people that brought him back from the dead against his own will. Surely, shouldn't there be some ethical questions raised here? Why am I still alive? Are we just here to suffer? Luke Devereaux sold out quicker than Mike Tyson did. One of the Universal Soldiers loses control, however, and attacks an employee. He nearly kills Luke Devereaux, but Devereaux is able to take him out. Notice, by the way, how the other Universal Soldiers don't help him out. I think this program isn't going to work again. Unfortunately, for Xander Berkeley and Jean-Claude Van Damme, General Radford decides it's time to stop funding the Universal Soldier program and close it down once again. General Radford is surprisingly played by Daniel Van Bolgen, who you may know as Kruger from Seinfeld.
Kruger! We're shutting the Unisol project down.
Honestly, I'm not shocked by why the General wants to shut the program down. I mean, after all, he has seen what the soldiers can do firsthand.
Until you pin me, George, Festivus is not over.
Oh, please, somebody stop this.
I jab, I punch, and stay away from him until he gets tired. And then he's my little girl. Yeah!
What the hell does that mean? You saying you want a piece of me?
Yeah, I do.
Let's rumble!
Oh, yeah, baby. Come on, let's do this. Let's go.
The Matrix chip implanted into each Unisol brain enables Seth to monitor and control their action.
Yeah, they can be controlled. Despite the fact that we literally just established that if an implant is loose, it can literally crush a man to death. Oh, but wait guys, all you have to do is knock them on the head. Well, that's great to hear, but unless you're a former Universal Soldier yourself and have the same physique as Van Damme, then you're dead, so what's the point? And, once again, the Universal Soldiers did not help Luke Devereaux when that one went rogue. We've literally just seen this. Stop insulting our intelligence.
It would be a shame to stop sending young Americans to die on the battlefield.
Oh yes, let's stop sending young men to die on the battlefield. And let us instead bring back people from the dead without the consent of their families. What's your point again, sorry? Unknown to our characters, however, it turns out that Seth can read lips and understands what they're saying. This reminds me of a very famous piece of pop culture media. What was it called now? Oh yeah, that's right. The Irate Gamer Show.
I don't think so. This review's over when I say it's over.
Since Seth's programming has been threatened, he secretly hatches a plot with the other Universal Soldiers to take over the base. Shortly after this, another main character is introduced called Erin Yun, who is a reporter. She basically fills the role that Veronica Roberts had in the first film. Oh, and don't worry, her acting sucks too, and is completely useless in this film. To the surprise of our characters, Seth launches a hostile takeover of the building as Universal Soldiers kill the staff.
Hello, Dr. Cotner. I'm ready when you are.
Oh dear God. It's Silent Hill 2 all over again.
But on the other hand, fuck you.
Oh, okay. It saved itself. I'll give you credit. I know your secrets. Universal healthcare, the reform.
James Marston,
What did you do with Big Chungus?
Seth kills Xander Berkeley, Aaron's cameraman, and some other jobber that nobody cares about. In order to stop Seth, Luke Devereaux has to turn him off at this power source. Luke Devereaux has the code to do this. However, Seth is currently trying to override it. Luke, Maggie, Kruger, and Hillary evacuate the building, but Romeo's waiting for Maggie. Surprisingly though, Maggie is able to dispatch him pretty easily. Hillary falls down the stairs, however, and suffers brain swelling. Now, you've probably noticed something by now. This film looks like shit. I mean, look at the wall that Goldberg goes headfirst into. I gave the TV films the benefit of the doubt, but this film was released in cinemas and had a budget of around $22 to $45 million. There is no excuse here. Seth reaches out to a fired member from the Universal Soldier program called Squid and enlists his services. Is this Asmongold's house? It turns out Squid has been hiding a secret body within the organization, and Seth wants to implant his personality into said body, who will be Michael J. White. This is the T-posing body you saw earlier. Luke and Aaron are about to have a bad acting contest, but they're interrupted by Romeo, who chases them into a room. While Luke and Aaron are still in the base, General Radford employs the military to take out the Universal Soldiers.
Destroy the damn thing.
Oh, come on, they're not even trying. They put up a good fight, but like complete idiots, they shoot the Universal Soldiers, and instead of finishing them off, they slowly walk towards them and get annihilated. Now, I could be incorrect here, and even if I am, I don't really care. Shouldn't General Radford tell the military that these guys are undead, and instead of shooting them and then stopping and then inspecting their bodies when they're clearly about to come back to life, maybe just blow the fuckers up? The military probably doesn't know about this scheme because it's probably illegal, but surely though, if a general told you to blow something up, you aren't gonna question his orders, are you? With the help of Aaron, Luke Devereaux is able to get away from Romeo. This is the only time she's actually helpful in this movie, and even then, she nearly sets Luke Devereaux on fire, so get used to it.
I'm just warming up, Devereaux.
You know what? I think it's time I praise the film a bit here. I think we can all agree that if you are going to watch Universal Soldier: The Return, well, actually you shouldn't because it's a piece of shit, but let's just say you're a glutton for punishment, the only person that makes this film worth watching is none other than Goldberg. Goldberg easily has some of the best lines in the entire film, and in all fairness to him, he's got a really good comedic delivery. Goldberg undoubtedly stole the show here. Just don't tell Bret Hart I said anything.
Stop intensive.
Maybe a 4 out of 10.
Luke and Aaron are able to escape Romeo by running him over with a truck. This is when Aaron realizes that Romeo is not normal. He's Goldberg. No, just kidding. He's a Universal Soldier and is undead. She then discovers that Luke Devereaux was also a Universal Soldier. I find this to be very unlikely. Aaron would have absolutely believed that Luke was a Universal Soldier based on his acting alone. Luke Devereaux and Aaron reunite with General Radford and the military outside the base. I love Daniel Van Bergen, but he was also eagerly waiting a paycheck because he couldn't give two shits about this film. But on the other hand though, it is pretty funny because he is just channeling his Kruger character from Seinfeld. When he talks about the threat of the Universal Soldiers, he sounds more like a concerned grandfather rather than a hardened general.
Their fear and mortality will be their weakness.
I don't care.
Luke and the military storm the building so they can blow up the generators. Oh no! New metal! Van Damme looks at the horrible box office earnings and he runs away in fear. Just kidding. Devereaux finds out that Seth is missing and goes out to find him. The Universal Soldiers actually cut off the power supply so the phones can't be used. Because of this, Luke Devereaux has to search for a computer where he can find Seth's location. And I'm not joking when I tell you this. The only place Devereaux knows where there's a computer where you can access the information that still has power is in a strip club. If the new metal soundtrack did not give it away, this is an incredibly outdated 90s movie, and the scene in the strip club is only there for fan service. So while Brothers in Arms showed the female gaze, I guess the Return is showing the male gaze now. Well, at least they're alive this time.
Are on the internet.
How do you know that?
I saw it on 60 Minutes.
I really don't know what the purpose of this joke was supposed to be. I mean, Luke Devereaux is now addicted to porn. Okay, I guess.
It's a pornography store. I was buying pornography.
Ah yes, what a great hero Devereaux is, beating up bouncers who are just doing their job. Well done. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that the original Universal Soldier is a great movie because it's not, and I'm not going to pretend that Luke Devereaux was this amazing character in the original movie, but he's a complete joke in this film. I don't know what's worse, Luke Devereaux beating the shit out of random bouncers that are literally just doing their job, or the fact that an 80-year-old bouncer is actually putting up a good fight towards him. What is this?
Take that, Sonny!
I should also say as well, Van Damme, in all fairness, is actually doing his best in the fight scenes, but unfortunately the directing is holding him back here. The stunt regarding the Universal Soldiers being set on fire is actually pretty cool looking in all fairness, but just like most action movies, it's completely held back by the fact that there's so many edits to basically hide the fact that there are stunt doubles. Therefore meaning that you can't see any of the action. It's a shame too, because this film was directed by Mike Rogers, who's actually a stuntman, so I don't know if this was studio interference or maybe a lack of experience directing movies. Meanwhile, Romeo breaks into Luke Devereaux's home and he discovers where his daughter's hiding at. Devereaux and Aaron finally find where Squid is hiding at and they ask him the whereabouts of Seth. I'll take that as a maybe.
I will take something from you.
Who do you mean, Seth? Do you mean this woman that I've just met 5 minutes ago and suddenly in love with for no reason?
No.
Oh, my daughter. I forgot about her. In anger, Devereaux attacks Seth, but Seth beats the shit out of him.
Ha ha! I threw that shit before I walked in the room!
Devereaux rushes to the hospital to save his daughter from Seth and Romeo. Disclaimer, do not put children or Universal Soldiers into tumble dryers. Devereaux is too late, however, because Romeo once again is waiting for him and Seth kidnaps Hillary.
I hate that guy.
I love Goldberg. He continues to prove that he is the best part of this movie and he actually understood the assignment. He's basically a walking cartoon character. This scene is without a shadow of a doubt the best scene in the entire film, and it's not even close. And the scene is a million times better than the hospital scene in Unfinished Business. Look at the hospital staff who happen to be chiseled out of granite and clearly go to the gym. I hope they don't get their asses kicked.
Stop intensive
Play that again.
Next stop, intensive care.
Intensive care.
Stop intensive care. Stop intensive care. Stop intensive care.
Maybe a 4 out of 10.
Seth has finally figured out the code, and he's taking Hillary back to the Unisol base. Luke Devereaux decides to come back to the base by himself to take on Seth one-on-one and rescue his daughter. Wait a minute, I just realized something. Why is Erin even in this movie? She does absolutely nothing. What's her purpose? Oh, never mind. Oh, of course. Luke and Erin get together because Van Damme was feeling horny that night. Congratulations, Universal Soldier The Return. You have created a romance that's even more boring and even more bland than the made-for-TV movies. Good job. Hell, Veronica Roberts, as bad as the acting was in the TV movies, she actually serves a purpose. She actually does things to progress the plot and actually helps Luke Devereaux. The Return is so bad that it's making me actually compliment the TV movies that I will never see again in my entire life. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, Romeo killed Maggie off screen. Well, maybe it was on screen, but I didn't notice it, nor do I care to. Maggie and Devereaux take each other out in a bad acting contest, and Van Damme is too much for her and dispatches her. What a great Universal Soldier. Maggie was literally more efficient when she was just, you know, not dead. And here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for this film to end, and the final battle between Seth and Luke Devereaux. And sadly, once again, a fight between Jean-Luc Van Damme and Michael J. White should actually be really entertaining, but again, it is completely ruined by the editing, directing, and the amount of obvious stunt double takes. Editor's note, I didn't mean to say Jean-Luc Van Damme. That was a mistake. He's not nearly as powerful as his evil twin brother, Jean-Luc Picard, or his evil cousin, Jean-Luc Godard, or his long-lost dad, Rob Van Dam. Say it with me, people. Say it with me. That's a pretty cool scene with Van Damme running on the chairs to take out
Michael J. White?
Let's not show it again! Seth puts up a good fight, but Van Damme does his best impression of Johnny Cage and does a fatality to him. Yes, by the way, I do know that Van Damme was the inspiration for Johnny Cage from Mortal Kombat. It's a joke. You're supposed to laugh. Ha 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 ha.
Ha ha.
Oh my god, that looks like shit.
You know what? I'm happy with this. Bill Goldberg being the real final boss of this film makes sense. He's almost like Jack Baker from Resident Evil 7 with his cheesy one-liners and the fact that he seemingly can't be killed and is constantly chasing the protagonist.
Universal Soldier: The Return stinks, but Goldberg rules.
Romeo picks up Devereaux over his shoulders, about to do his intensive care line, until Maggie returns. To Luke's surprise, however, Maggie actually saves Luke from Romeo. Well, actually, that punch does do something, because it turns out that Seth deactivated the charges, but Devereaux is able to blow up the bombs by shooting at it. Which kind of makes it redundant why Seth would turn off the charges if you could just shoot it. Who cares? The Universal Soldiers have finally been wiped out, and Devereaux reunites with Hillary and Aaron, and they have a happily ever after. Except the audience. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you some very shocking information here. But this movie bombed at the box office and killed Van Damme's career. Who would have guessed, right?
Before I decided to make this video, I had already seen The Return, but I'd never seen the direct-to-TV movies, so when I saw those and realized how terrible they were, it actually gave me a bit of hope that maybe Return was not as bad as I thought. But instead, however, I actually completely forgot how lazy The Return was.
Objectively, The Return is a better movie than Brothers in Arms and Unfinished Business, but that really isn't saying much. At the end of the day, The Return was in theaters and had a much bigger budget. But even then, Van Damme sleepwalks throughout this entire film and was eagerly awaiting a paycheck. Michael J. White tries his best but is given absolutely nothing to work with. The acting is terrible, the fight scenes are so overly edited that you can't see anything, and the writing is so lazy. Once again, having Luke Devereaux just be a normal human being is a complete cop-out. It's basically just an excuse for Van Damme to not even try in this performance. And, once again in hindsight, Matt Battaglia is better than Van Damme in The Return. If you think I'm being too harsh, let me explain. First of all, Matt was just starting off in acting, and he was already given a pretty challenging role in basically playing a robot with no emotion that was eventually trying to get back his emotion. Second of all, Matt did not have a lot of experience in acting at the time. Van Damme was a veteran at this point. There is no excuse.
At worst, with Matt Battaglia, you can at least laugh at how bad his acting is. With Van Damme, it's just boring.
Man down. Let me know what to pay. Squabble up. Squabble up. Squabble up. Squabble.
There is absolutely no reason whatsoever to watch the TV films because they are ultimately a waste of time. But at the same time, however, the fact that they even tried to develop Luke Devereaux as a character is something I can actually admire. In another universe somewhere, the writing and acting was much better, and it was actually able to develop into a proper television series. Universal Soldier: The Return, however, absolutely no thought was put into this film. Also, do you remember when Luke Devereaux said this?
Yeah, it would be a shame to stop sending young Americans to die on the battlefield.
Well, doesn't he look like a complete moron? General Radford, the supposedly out-of-touch old general who goes against the wishes of our main characters, is completely justified in doing what he does and basically is the main hero of this film.
The program wasn't set up to do all this either, was it?
You're right.
I mean, he's the one who blows up the Universal Soldiers. Okay, Seth turned off the charges. You can still detonate them by shooting it. Kruger is the hero of this film, not Luke Devereaux.
It's Delger!
The term character assassination is used a lot nowadays, and it's usually used in the wrong context. In terms of Luke Devereaux, though, my god is it true. Because Devereaux is basically just a sellout to the Universal Soldiers. Why is he working with them? This isn't Luke Devereaux, this is Steven from Django Unchained. If I can be serious for a second, however, in ways for Van Damme, this film was the last shot at relevancy, but after the failure of Universal Soldier The Return, it took another 9 years for Van Damme to star in another movie where it got a theatrical release. This was also the same year where Van Damme was arrested for driving under the influence. I'm not going to dive too deeply into Van Damme's personal life because he doesn't like talking about it, and it's widely known that he was a massive cokehead in the 90s. However, a year prior to the release of Universal Soldier The Return, Jean-Claude Van Damme was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. This, however, was not public until 2011 when Jean-Claude Van Damme revealed this on a reality TV show called Behind Closed Doors. So Van Damme had kept this secret for 13 years. It was not until 2008 when Jean-Claude Van Damme finally starred in another theatrical movie called JCVD, where Van Damme's performance was critically acclaimed. Shortly afterwards, Van Damme also starred in The Expendables 2 as the main antagonist, alongside Dolph Lundgren. So thankfully, Van Damme's career did make a bit of a comeback, but it is very sad to look back on Universal Soldier The Return, not just because of the fact it killed his career and basically any chance of a Universal Soldier series. Van Damme was clearly struggling at this point, and nobody realized how much pain he was really going through. And sadly, around this point, Dolph Lundgren's career had kinda died as well, because he had just been starring in direct-to-DVD movies. The Return is usually hailed as well as being one of the worst movies of the 1990s, and is a sad reminder that sometimes you're not always going to be at the top. Well, at least their careers were better than Matt Battalia's. Yeah, that's right, Matt. I said your acting sucks. What are you gonna do about it? You Emmy award-winning producer. Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe I'm in the wrong here. I don't understand how films work. I don't know how difficult it was to work on these movies. I don't know if Burt Reynolds was trouble to work with his alleged alcoholism. Matt Battaglia had very big shoes to fill, and a very challenging role. Maybe he wasn't ready yet. And that's okay. He tried his best in this film. Van Damme? Yeah, he might have phoned it in clearly, but the guy was suffering a lot at the time. He was going through a lot of shit, and Van Damme has overcome his demons and his monsters, and good for him. Matt Battaglia won an Emmy, and Van Damme is living his best life. So maybe it's time to look back on these films with reverence, and maybe it's time to give sympathy to the filmmakers and their struggles. If we can learn something from the career resurgences from Matt Battaglia, Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren, it's this. Once you're at rock bottom, the only way forward is up. But the bottom doesn't have to be all dark and gloomy. If you can stand and look up, you'll see the light of hope there. Nah, these films suck! And don't get me started on Regeneration and Day of Reckoning. Those movies are actually good and I should have reviewed them first. But I didn't. Because I'm an idiot.
I can barely fit in here.